First, I wanted to start by asking you why you decided to do this now and kind of rehash what was going on at that time and the controversy. Why bring it out now?
Sure. Well, I mean, I think that, I first, it's based on Mary Mapes' book, and I actually first optioned the book right after it came out in 2006. So I've been working on the film on and off for about 8 years. The thing we found when we tried to put it together the first time in 2007 was, honestly, enough time hadn't passed from it. And so people kept looking at it through a very politicized lens when they would read the screenplay. And the movie isn't really about that. The film's about journalism, and the film's about these characters and what they go through trying to put the story together. But nobody at the time could kind of divorce themselves from what they perceived to be the politics behind it. So, we kind of kept running up against walls. And so, I put it in a drawer, and I said I'd love to revisit this at some point. And then about 2 years ago, my producing partner and I kind of pulled it out, and we said, I think enough time has passed, and this is the right time to try and put this together again. And we sent it to Kate Blanchett, who had just won her second Academy Award for Blue Jasmine, and we sent it to her the morning after she won the Oscar. So I was like, there is no chance that that you win your second Academy Award and go, I'd really like to work with a first-time director. I think that would be the best thing for me to do. But thankfully she read it and liked it and got on the phone with me, and we talked for about half an hour, and she committed to the film, and from that the rest of it flowed.
And Mr. Rather, how about the timing for you? Was this the right time to release the film in your mind?
I don't know enough about the film business or whether this is the right time from a movie business or not. I do think this film, the story, which is a fascinating, multi-layered story about media, big corporations and their political allies, propaganda, betrayal, it's a really good story. And with a cast like this, I mean, look at this cast, not just Kate Blanchett and Robert Redford, Dennis Quaid, it's an all-star cast. It's a good story with terrific cast and great acting. And that's always worthwhile if you go to it for no other reason than that. But I do think that this is a good time to revisit what happened, why it happened, how it happened, and why anybody should care. Because it resonates today. And the question is, what's happened to the news? And I think its best level, this film deals with that question. To someone who says, the news is not the same it used to be. It's not as good as it used to be. Why not? So I think the reverberations, the echoes of the major themes in the film are perhaps, if anything, more timely today than they were at the time of the story in question.
Now, has the media gotten better in your mind since the whole fallout after the story aired, or has the media landscape in your mind gotten worse in terms of like the corporations?
I understand the question, and I wish I felt qualified to answer it. I don't mean that in a ducky-dodgy way. Things have changed so much. So much has changed. And the media universe, really the media cosmos, is so much larger, so much more fragmented today than it was at the time this particular story came about. And then there is the question of, well, I'm trying to let the record show a pause because I want to put this in the right way. There's a question of what kind of journalism do we want? And that's a great deal of what truth this film is about. And that we need a new, broader, looking forward discussion that with this new exploding universe of media and press, what kind of journalism do we want in this country? And especially, do we want hard drilling, deep digging, investigative journalism, which can't be perfect and is never perfect? Do we want it or not? And if not, then what kind of country do we expect to have?
You said that the story you think remains true, but the documents were not. It was determined.
If I may, in a very gentlemanly way, it's not that I think the story is true. The basic story is true. One, did former President Bush, when in his troubled youth, Did he use his father's influence? Was his father's influence used to get him into the Air National Guard as a way of avoiding Vietnam? That's a fact. Fact two, once he got in the Air National Guard, after performing well, in some estimates very well, he disappeared for a year. Nobody disappears for a year. Now, those are facts. Everybody's entitled to their opinion, but they're not entitled to their own facts. The reason this film is called Truth is we got to a truth, but we paid a painful price for it. But I want to come back to, I've tried to discuss with you candidly what happened, in probably in too much detail. In its very essence, that's not what the film is about. It uses as a method of telling the story of what's happened to the news, why it's happened, how it happened, why you should care about it. And it also has a resonance of going forward. What kind of journalism can we have in the new digital era? What kind of journalism can we have? What kind of journalism do we want to have?